On this episode of the EverQuest Show, a sneak peek at Scars of Destruction and the Outer Brood, the second half of my interview with Nick Parkinson, son of Keith Parkinson, and we go in the zone with Aether Wroughtlands. It's all next on the EverQuest Show.
I'm on top of the world and now I'm living, and the good just gets better, keeps on giving. Not even close to the end, it's just beginning. Life is getting lighter while the days are getting brighter. Gotta celebrate life and get excited about good times and good living. Come on, shout it out. Hey, take it up, take it over, take it out of control. Today I'm freeing my soul and now you got me singing.
Hi, I'm Fading in the EverQuest Show studios, and things are ramping up as expansion season kicks into high gear. But before we get to the newly released key art and a sneak peek at the latest expansions, let's pick up where we left off with the art of Keith Parkinson. Last episode, Nick Parkinson gave us a behind-the-scenes look at the artwork of his father, Keith Parkinson, who was the artist behind the original key art for EverQuest through Planes of Power.
If you look at some of his paintings, even some of the EverQuest paintings, like there's a whimsical sense of just like, you know, hey, this isn't gonna work out the way you think it is, but that's okay.
And as much as EverQuest fans love the artwork created by Keith Parkinson, his biggest fan is clearly his son.
So he passed in 2005, so it's almost been 20 years. He had a lifetime of painting and collecting things that he used in his paintings, and you know, I'm the steward of most of that stuff now. I love this one. This is, again, lighter paper. This was the final sketch, actually, he did for Luclin before he projected these up onto the canvas for painting.
How does it make you feel when to know that you are kind of immortalized secretly?
Well, I mean, anyone who knows him is, because we all show up in his paintings. And so, like, you know, he had hidden a couple of, you know, my character names in the EverQuest paintings and things like that. But not just that, it's I am the halfling. It's our neighbors are the ogre.
In addition to those Easter eggs, it's also interesting to see how the art evolved over time, even from the original sketches.
Earlier on, it was a lot more back and forth discussions about how could things be? How could they evolve? There was a lot of back and forth over the look of not just Fiona V, but all of the cover characters.
One of the most interesting artifacts that Nick shared with me were emails between Keith and SOE. These outline the concepts for the artwork, and as time went on, changes as the artwork progressed. These specifically were for the Planes of Power artwork, which was the last piece that Keith did for EverQuest. Some of the changes are pretty simple. Others require the deletion of characters altogether. Sorry, Rangers, and apparently this gnome. And some are a commentary on what sells for the gaming industry at the time. But it also gives you an idea of what the developers of the game intended with the artwork.
Brad and my father became friends, and I think that relationship really helped drive, you know, the art, because they kind of understood what one another were going for, and I think you saw it the most in Kunark even.
The Kunark artwork is arguably one of the best EverQuest art pieces, but it was also considered somewhat controversial. Though sensibilities of the time were perhaps not as keen as today, it raised some eyebrows to show Fiona already provocatively armored, bound and held captive by the Ixar. But consider the original sketches, where Fiona was chained and kneeling in front of her Ixar captor with the chains prominently displayed. And the sketches went through several iterations before they made it to the canvas. The changes are made to what we see today in the Kunark artwork, and the Ixar themselves underwent some changes. In
terms of, yeah, I mean, bipedal lizard person, that's pretty general, and there's a lot of, you know, examples in fantasy literature to pull from, and it is interesting because you look at his art, and then you look at it in the game, and it's like, okay, those don't always match up, and why is that? And that's because a lot of the art was done before the game. One of the looks that you'll see that kind of differentiates the way the Ixar look than the other characters are a lot of tighter chest armor, almost mummy kind of wrappings, bindings, a lot of beaded kind of chains around the neck, that sort of thing. And those were all conscious decisions that they talk about when formulating the look.
And for Nick Parkinson, things come full circle because his father's active role in EverQuest led to his passion for the game and his future career.
First started working on the painting, you know, they shipped him a beta disc, and then I stole it and played. And you know, I was showing him, right, and so I that was when I started, and it was amazing because I literally got to watch the game get created, In fact, I can say confidently that when Blackborough, I was there when it first launched. The first time that zone came up, they brought the servers up, it launched. First thing I did was, oh, look at that tree. I'm gonna step right inside. And then I think I was the first person to die in that. I lost my corpse and everything. But that was the start, that's where I started. And I've been involved in some form, for 20 plus years. I helped run a fan website called The Safe House. I mean, I played and then worked on EverQuest 2 eventually.
What do you think he would think about the game being around 25 years?
I don't think he'd be that surprised, to be honest. I think that, yeah, it's impressive, and I'd be like, but remember, he was in a D&D group that ran that long, And so I think he got that this could be the next thing. I think 25 years, probably nobody expected that. I think we would have been happy with like 3. But yeah, I don't think the concept of it blowing up and becoming a thing would have really surprised him. And fortunately, he passed in 2005, so he got to see that happen. It's been, 25 years now, and we're still talking about it, so that's hard to beat.
We still think about Keith Parkinson, and it still influences stuff that we do.
It's romantic and fun and fantastical. I mean, it really inspires and motivates your imagination and creativity, and it wants you to live up to that.
I can see the texture of the paint, the quality of the art, the quality of the materials.
Every time I come into the office, I always take a lap past these and I stare at them and look at them real close, because this is the legacy that started, and I didn't create this. I know I didn't create this, but I get to have to continue it. And when I continue it, I want to make sure that I'm still hitting the essence of what you're seeing in here. Like when you look at these art pieces, you're not looking at EverQuest, but you're looking at the most EverQuest that EverQuest can be.
Because it was there from the beginning. It just, the colors and the characters and everything else, they were some of our first introductions to MMOs.
I obviously am biased. I think he was, amongst the greatest fantasy artists of all time. And to wake up and just see that every day, you think that's what, this is how it is. Everyone's got, and then you realize, no, it's not. And that you have access to something pretty special.
Keith Parkinson passed in 2005, but the legacy of his artwork lives on. If you're looking to support that legacy, you can purchase artwork from his official website that continues to be run by his family, where you can find prints for sale from various intellectual properties. After Planes of Power, EverQuest continued the high bar that was set by Keith Parkinson.
I love who they've got to do EQ. They did the best of the best. They got Donella, they got Larry, they got Don Maitz.
The Lost Dungeons of Norrath artwork was painted by renowned artist Don Maitz. For Gates of Discord, Jeff Easley continued the legacy. And for the next 4 expansions, we were treated to the artwork by the one and only Larry Elmore. Elmore painted the artwork for Omens of War through Prophecy of Ro. There have been various artists since Elmore that have taken over the key art duties, but which do you think has been the best? Parkinson? Maitz? Easley? Is it Elmore? I want to hear from you. Write in the comments below which piece of art you think is the best for EverQuest. Now, in the last decade or so, there's been another artist that has made his mark on EverQuest. In the announcements for the latest expansions for both games, the key art was released for EverQuest The Outer Brood and for EverQuest 2 The Scars of Destruction. Both pieces are beautiful works of art by Kerem Beyit, who continues to be utilized by Darkpaw for expansion artwork. Kerem is a Turkish artist who has created key art for both games going back more than a decade, and I think these 2 pieces are some of the best works yet. And we really should praise Darkpaw for continuing to keep art top of mind for the games, especially an artist whose resume includes art for Dungeons & Dragons, Pathfinder, and Magic the Gathering. For the Outer Brood artwork, dragons are the star. Well, they're dragons with 4 wings, and they're huge, and one of the giant space dragons has an entire city on its back as it appears in the Norrathian sky. For Scars of Destruction, we got even more dragons, but we also got to see the antagonist of the expansion front and center, as Luclin returns to the storyline. Beta has started for both expansions in EverQuest and EverQuest 2, so now's a good time to remind you to subscribe to the EverQuest Show channel, ring that bell as well, and reviews of both expansions are fast approaching, and that way you'll know exactly when they arrive. Here's a little sneak peek of The Outer Brood for EverQuest and Scars of Destruction for EverQuest 2.
My name is Robyn Vallee. I am a game designer on EverQuest. Well, I played the game when it launched in 1999 with my family, and I actually, a couple months later, got employed and was in customer service and then community for 13 years. So I've been around EverQuest since '99. I am the live events designer for EverQuest. My main day-to-day is creating quests for holiday events in game. We get together once a year and decide which holidays we're going to celebrate that year, and then I have that going forward. Currently, I'm incredibly proud of the Tides of Time Anniversary Tower for Year of Darkhollow. The other live events haven't been geared towards all the players, like TLPs, and this one is. Anybody can do it on any server, and that has been really good feedback. I do really want to keep doing that. It's going to be a little odd, but I love Ocean of Tears. When I was in customer service, I would sit on the beach and answer petitions and just sit in Ocean of Tears. The sound, listening to the waves, I found it very soothing. So I'm going to go with the Bellicose. When I hadn't seen them before, I play, but I'm not a very high-level player. And when I was doing my first learning zone, I stumbled upon the Bellicose, and just the little goth girl in me decided to have fun with that and just made a whole zone of them. I was there really in the early days when guilds would compete with other guilds to get the dragons, when the sleeper was killed. It was a wild night. There were a bunch of people up just talking about it and watching it, and everybody was like, oh my god, what do we do? Because we weren't dev, we were customer service. He wasn't supposed to come awake, and he wasn't supposed to be killed, so it was a thing that wasn't supposed to happen, and the players figured it out because they're really ingenious.
Last episode, I showed you one of the most beautiful zones in EverQuest, Deep Shade. If you missed it, make sure you go check it out in the previous episode. But now it's EverQuest 2's turn, as we take a look at the creation of Aether Wroughtlands.
Since 2020, we've been really rebuilding our art teams, and when you bring in new people, the artists, they're, at heart, they're creatives, right? And when you have that many creatives coming into the room and new creatives coming into the room, it's like, oh, hey, have you tried this? It's like, no, we haven't tried that. You should do it.
Predominantly zone art, and even the character art just keeps getting better. And it's like every year they kind of raise the bar.
Well, speaking about the zone art, beautiful, right? Really impressive. They love such a different tone, the aesthetic of just being able to go in there into one expansion and to have so many different feeling areas. And in some of those zones, to have mini regions, these little biomes that are just so significantly different from one another.
For instance, Aether Wroughtlands, which was this crazy zone that had 7 biomes. Biomes are when you go into an area, it feels different, has different lighting, has different, a feel to it, which is a lot of work for them to set up. We ask for 3 biomes and they're like, oh my God, but we had 7 in that zone. And I'm pretty sure Tim told us never again.
The Tim that he's referring to is Tim Heidelar, the art director for EverQuest 2. At FippyFest, Tim talked about how zones are created like Aether Wroughtlands.
We start basically with a document, and in it is all the ideas that the designer attached to the zone gets out, and it's full of information, tons of lore. And this zone was basically grounded in a whole lot of metallics and gems, and it had this kind of low to high hierarchy, which I thought was really cool. It's one of the key elements. You start off in kind of the iron and the rust, and you work your way up to the gold and the platinums. So you kind of, ascend along with the beauty of the zone. And from this document, we'll progress to an overhead map. And I look at it, and first thing I always say is no. But as I start reading it, section by section, I get a better idea of what it is they actually want to accomplish. And it's never simple, it's never fast. It always looks like it's something we can't accomplish. But we tell the designers to shoot for the stars, and they literally shoot for the stars, and we have to say, okay, maybe not that high. And so it goes from something like this, and so then we get busy. And this is the Silver Realm, and this is before any of the objects are in. This is a bit of behind the scenes. This is one of our internal tools. You kind of see the materials on the left and the right, and we basically sculpt terrain and constantly reference the document to make sure that we're kind of staying on point to what it is designers want. That monstrous list of text you see there is every single object we've placed by hand. Like, there's no automation. Every single thing we've taken the time to scale, rotate, and place to make sure that it looks good pretty much from every angle. So we take it from something like this, where it's very, very iterative, and we get it to kind of this point by the time we're done. This was one of my favorite areas. It's got this weird nebulous in the center, just shooting off in all sorts of directions. The idea was it was very, very fractured and stuff was floating up in the sky. And we took the time to kind of try to sell that something looks like it imploded in the center.
The whole time they were building it, I was going, this looks terrible. Like, I don't know what you guys are doing. Like it's really weird. I don't like the design. And Tim, of course, was like, shut up, it's gonna be great. So I went in there and I was like, holy crap, this is the coolest zone I have ever seen. And it's just the colors and how it changes as you travel through it from just completely, I mean, it's not like subtle changes. It's like, you know, now it's gold, now it's all emerald, now it's like silver. And my favorite part is this golden forest that they did that's like got this cool golden lake in it. And they actually like did something to make the water ripple really slowly so it looks like it's like a liquid gold lake and stuff.
The gold realm is something I'm really proud of. And this is basically how it starts. So we've got the dock, we've got the little map of that area. It should be mentioned that one of the things of this whole zone was that it should have this feeling that it was like created. It's not like you stumble into a new land, but it's almost as if someone made it. So we were really careful that when we were creating a lot of this stuff, that it had an organic feel to it, but it looks like someone intentionally designed parts of it. So we'll take this, and there's some notes like the Gold Realm and the Hammer Trail. And then when I got to it and I started working on it, I was trying materials. I was coming up with materials to see, like, can I actually convey what it is he wants? We want to get as much out as we can, but we do have time limits and only so much that we can put in a zone. And particularly a zone like this where you can kind of see everything at once. So we have to be very mindful of, you know, player progression, exploration, vistas, coming over the hill to see something new. In this shot is the final product. It's the golden forest. In the description, it mentions the sunlight rays coming through, and there's the liquid metal lake back there, which our coders really hooked us up with some good tech for that. The hammer trails front and center on the bottom, and it didn't look out of place. And in fact, there's some like spheres that are sitting kind of to the side in a different kind of non-organic formation. And he just kind of, you know, I was like, I got to make rocks for this. I don't want to make rocks. I've made thousands of rocks. I don't want to make rocks. And he's like, well, use the spheres for rocks. I'm like, all right, I'll try that. And I just plunked a couple of them in the ground, and it fit the theme perfectly. It gave it that created look, not that organic look that we were shooting for.
But all of that art and zone creation takes time. I asked Kyle how long it takes to get to this point in the expansion.
Basically, making an expansion takes all year. We come in January with kind of an idea of what we want to do for an expansion. We start doing zone documents in February, you know, getting that stuff so that we can get art started by March, where they can start building the zones because they take that long. One of our big things is trying to do visual storytelling, which is like, you know, you don't necessarily have to have a quest to go into, say, Aether Wroughtlands and go, what's going on here? You can see that it starts in copper colors and then goes to like green colors and then goes to golds and then goes to, you know, so it's about visual storytelling as well.
And it certainly is visual. It's one of my favorite zones, but how can you tell if it's a developer's favorite zone?
As designers, we all have our own little zones that we use for work, but it was like this test zone that we use, you know, to test things. So every time we have a new zone that I really like, I change my design zone into that. So like this year, my design path script changed to Aether Wroughtlands, so I always change it to the coolest zone that's current.
If you've enjoyed these videos of the art of EverQuest, make sure you continue to support the channel by subscribing to the channel and liking and sharing these videos. I sincerely appreciate it. And I'm really excited about the next episode, which is all about the music of EverQuest with legendary original composer Jay Barbeau.
Okay. There's a Rivervale theme. I don't know if you know.
Rivervale!
That's on the next episode of The EverQuest Show. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in Norrath.
We gotta be the best we can be. And though sometimes we don't want to, still we gotta chase our dreams. Reach up and reach high, because we're gonna pull through and give it all we got, even though it can seem hard to catch and make it happen. But we can't start sliding, come on, and do what you gotta do to fight on. And so no matter what comes your way, nothing can ruin your day or even wipe a smile away.